Your morning omelet could be a ticking time bomb, depending on where you grab your eggs. Beneath those picture-perfect cartons and farm-fresh hype, certain grocery stores are concealing egg safety scandals that might transform your breakfast into a dangerous gamble. Don't be fooled into thinking all eggs are created equal. The shocking truth lurking inside those shells could shatter your faith in the stores you trust. Keep watching to uncover the dirty secrets. Let's start with one of the biggest offenders, Walmart. Their eggs might be cheap, but they come with risks that no smart shopper should ignore. In a 2021 quality survey conducted across multiple states, Walmart eggs were found to have the highest rate of visible cracks, dirty shells, and mold spots on cartons. That's right, mold growing outside the eggs before you even open them. And when mold shows up outside, it is often a sign of poor refrigeration or contamination inside. If you are not inspecting every egg like a detective at a crime scene, you could be bringing home a dozen troublemakers. Walmart keeps prices low by working with high-volume egg producers that operate massive industrial facilities. These facilities often pack hens into cages so small the birds cannot even spread their wings. Beyond the animal welfare issues, this overcrowding leads to higher rates of disease, contamination, and broken eggs. According to a whistleblower from a major supplier, the operation treated egg laying like an assembly line with very little concern for cleanliness or safety. If one egg was cracked, we just wiped it and kept moving, he said. No wonder so many customers report opening cartons to find sticky, broken messes that look more like biology experiments than breakfast. Temperature control is another silent danger. Eggs need to be stored below 40 degrees to remain safe. But mystery shoppers using temperature guns found eggs in multiple Walmart locations, sitting in open displays that reached as high as 52 degrees. That is not just unsafe. It is illegal in many states. When eggs get too warm, bacteria like salmonella multiply quickly, and by the time you make those sunny side-ups, the damage is already done. And do not be fooled by the Gradia labels. The USDA grades are not based on safety or nutrition. They are based on cosmetic appearance, how smooth the shell is, whether the yolk stands up straight. It is like judging a book by its cover and ignoring whether the pages are blank or full of mold. Even if Walmart eggs look fine at first glance, you will not know what you are getting until you crack it open. And by then, it might be too late. You might expect better from Whole Foods with their artisanal image and prices that make you feel like you are buying Fabrayer eggs, but reality does not match the marketing behind the rustic chalkboard signs and cute farm imagery. Whole Foods eggs come with problems of their own. A major investigative report in 2019 revealed that some of the organic pasture-raised eggs sold at Whole Foods were traced back to industrial-scale operations where chickens barely saw sunlight. How does that qualify as pasture-raised? It does not, except in the minds of clever marketers and lawyers. Whole Foods charges premium prices, often 2 to 3 times more than competitors, for eggs that supposedly come from happy hens on open pastures. But independent audits have shown that many of their suppliers simply meet the minimum organic requirements and nothing more. One farm they sourced from kept over 100,000 birds in a single warehouse with tiny doors leading to narrow dirt runs that most hens never used. That is like calling your closet a park just because it has a window. Taste tests also tell a surprising story. You would expect the extra money to buy better flavor, but in blind trials conducted in 2022, Whole Foods eggs ranked in the middle of the pack. Tasters described them as watery, flat, and no different from store-brand eggs. Some testers even preferred cheaper eggs from basic supermarkets. Turns out paying more does not always mean tasting more. And let us talk about the packaging. For all their talk about sustainability, Whole Foods has been caught multiple times using plastic cartons labeled as eco-friendly when they were in fact made from virgin materials. Several stores were also cited in 2020 for failing to rotate egg stock properly, meaning older eggs sat behind newer ones, tricking shoppers into grabbing the less fresh option. It is like a reverse lottery. Your reward for choosing wrong is watery eggs with faded yolks and questionable freshness. But what about Aldi? You might think a discount chain would be worse, but Aldi eggs land in a strange middle zone. Their prices are low, but so are their standards. Aldi eggs are often repackaged under multiple house brands, some labeled farm fresh, others cage-free. Though many come from the exact same suppliers, that cage-free label, it just means the hens are not in cages, not that they have space, light, or any kind of quality of life. A 2021 inspection report of an Aldi supplier revealed alarming conditions: rodents, broken ventilation, and egg storage temperatures swinging wildly throughout the day. Inspectors found dozens of eggs sitting in unrefrigerated loading areas for hours before being transported to stores. The result: fluctuating freshness, unpredictable shelf life, and eggs that spoil faster than you can say breakfast for dinner. Customers also report consistency issues. One week the eggs are fine, the next they are sulfur bombs waiting to go off. Some cartons contain eggs of noticeably different sizes and colors, even within the same dozen. While this might seem like a minor detail, it often points to poor sorting processes and sloppy quality control. Imagine buying a pack of socks and finding one baby sock mixed with a wool boot liner. That is Aldi's egg consistency in a nutshell. Packaging quality is also a letdown. The thin plastic or flimsy paper board Aldi uses does little to protect eggs from impact damage. Drop that carton once on the way from the shelf to your cart, and you might as well buy a sponge. Even worse, some Aldi cartons lack the visible expiration or sell-by dates on the top flap, meaning you have to go hunting for fine print on the bottom like you are decoding a secret message. And good luck getting help from an employee. Aldi's ultra-lean staffing model means the person stocking cookies is also handling dairy, checking out customers, and chasing carts in the parking lot. To make matters more complicated, Aldi rotates egg suppliers based on price. This means that your eggs might come from Iowa one week and a completely different supplier in Missouri the next, depending on who offered the lowest bid. That constant shuffling makes it hard to trace where your food came from or hold anyone accountable for problems. It is like playing Russian roulette with your omelet. One week it is breakfast, the next it is a stomach bug. Egg freshness is especially sensitive to handling, and Aldi's no-frills store design often fails to protect temperature-sensitive items. In one test across 15 locations, over 30% of Aldi stores were found to have egg displays above the recommended temperature range. Combine that with the rotating supplier roulette and inconsistent packaging, and you have a recipe for breakfast disappointment or worse. If you're finding these tips helpful so far, a quick like or subscribe really helps us out. Now, let's talk about Safeway, the chain that somehow manages to be both expensive and forgettable, like paying $20 for a ham sandwich you do not remember eating. Their egg section looks clean and orderly, but behind that illusion is a track record of quiet recalls, inconsistent quality, and packaging problems that could turn your omelet into an accident report. One of the most troubling issues with Safeway is their failure to notify customers about egg recalls. In 2019, a salmonella outbreak linked to one of their egg suppliers led to a multi-state recall. But instead of posting clear warnings at the store or notifying customers through loyalty programs, Safeway quietly slipped the notice onto an obscure part of their website. If you were not actively hunting down recall alerts like a bloodhound, you would never know. One shopper only found out when her child got sick and the doctor traced it back to contaminated eggs. She called the store, and the manager said, "We posted it online." Online. That is like yelling fire into a pillow and hoping everyone hears it. Safeway's recall practices have been criticized repeatedly by consumer watchdogs. A 2022 survey found that less than 15% of shoppers knew about a major egg recall, even though over half had bought eggs during the risk period. That is not just bad communication. It is dangerous. The company technically meets the legal minimum for recall announcements, but in practice, they are about as informative as a fortune cookie with no message. And then there is the freshness problem. Safeway rotates stock less consistently than most big chains, especially in ultra-urban locations. Customers have reported finding expired egg cartons still sitting on shelves, some as much as a week past their sell-by date. While expired eggs might not always make you sick, their quality drops fast. Runny whites, sulfur smell, and yolks that break instantly. Not exactly the breakfast of champions. Their packaging also leaves a lot to be desired. Safeway often uses the cheapest version of pulp cartons, those gray, flimsy containers that soak up moisture and collapse under pressure. If your eggs survive the ride home, it is a small miracle. And do not expect much help in store either. Many Safeway locations are understaffed, especially in the mornings and late evenings. One former employee said the egg section was checked maybe once a shift, unless there was an obvious spill. That means broken eggs can sit unnoticed for hours, slowly leaking their contents across other cartons, like some sort of egg-based horror movie. But the worst offender in all of this might just be Dollar General. That is right, eggs at the dollar store. On paper, it sounds like a budget win. In reality, it is a safety roulette with way too many losing spins. Dollar General has rapidly expanded its refrigerated and frozen food offerings, but their infrastructure is still playing catch-up. And eggs, as you know, are not forgiving when it comes to sloppy storage. According to a 2023 report from the USDA, over 75% of Dollar General stores inspected failed basic food storage safety checks. That means things like refrigeration units not working, eggs stored at the wrong temperature, and poor rotation practices. If you are imagining eggs sitting in a fridge that works more like a microwave, you are not far off. One former manager described the egg section as an afterthought at best, explaining that broken coolers often went unrepaired for days or even weeks. "We just hoped no one noticed," he admitted. Hope is not a strategy when you are storing raw animal products. Even more alarming are the supplier sources. Dollar General frequently buys through opportunity distributors, companies that sell food products nearing their expiration date or rejected by other retailers. It is a practice common in discount retail, but it carries serious risk, especially when it comes to perishable items like eggs. One anonymous supply chain consultant called Dollar General's egg sourcing a black hole of traceability. They often have no clear idea where the eggs came from or how long they have been in transit. That carton of eggs could have been bouncing between trucks for days before it even hits the shelf. Packaging is another red flag. Dollar General eggs often come in the thinnest legal plastic or foam containers available. These offer minimal protection and almost no insulation. If a cooler is even slightly warm, those cartons will sweat and break down, letting bacteria flourish. And if you thought the price made it worth it, consider this. Market studies show that Dollar General eggs are only about 10 to 15% cheaper than the average supermarket. So, you are not saving much, but you are taking on way more risk. Customers have also posted images of disturbing finds: cracked eggs resealed with tape, cartons with dried yolk on the outside, even one case where a live insect was crawling inside a sealed egg container. If your eggs come with bonus protein, something has gone very wrong. Dollar General's staffing model makes the situation worse. Many stores operate with just 1 or 2 employees on duty at a time, making it nearly impossible to monitor perishable food sections consistently. In one viral video, a shopper documented eggs sitting at room temperature for hours with no employee in sight to fix the issue. The only thing chilling in that store was the mood. Now, to be fair, not all low-cost stores are this reckless, but when it comes to Dollar General, the combination of poor storage, weak oversight, and mystery sourcing creates an environment where egg safety is more of a gamble than a guarantee. You might get lucky, or you might get sick. And here is a thought no one wants with their morning toast. What if that egg that seemed fine had actually been frozen, thawed, and re-chilled multiple times before it reached your fridge? That is not just bad quality, it is a perfect environment for bacterial growth. Experts warn that repeated temperature swings make eggs far more likely to become unsafe, even if they look and smell normal. And Dollar General's refrigeration issues make this scenario disturbingly common. At the end of the day, it is not just about taste or even price. It is about what happens when corners are cut on sourcing, staffing, packaging, and temperature control. The stores we trust with our food need to do better because no one wants to serve scrambled eggs with a side of regret. That moment, you open the carton expecting a dozen safe, clean eggs, and instead find broken shells, strange odors, or questionable textures. That should not be a common experience. But for many shoppers at these chains, it is. Buying eggs should be simple, but in these stores, it has become a gamble. Whether it is the illusion of premium quality at Whole Foods, the mass production shortcuts at Walmart, the no-frills chaos at Aldi, the silent recalls at Safeway, or the refrigeration roulette at Dollar General, each one has its own version of the same story: shiny outside, questionable inside. And when it comes to something as fragile and potentially risky as eggs, that is a risk most people do not even realize they're taking. Of course, not every shopper has the luxury of choosing between gourmet markets and boutique farms. For millions of people, the closest or cheapest option is all that matters. And grocery chains know this. That is why they cut costs in the background, hoping customers will not notice the hidden sacrifices made behind every carton. But when it comes to eggs, those small decisions ripple out fast. A cracked shell here, a warm cooler there, and suddenly breakfast becomes a bacterial minefield. Even small issues add up. Let us say your eggs were packed in a huge facility with only a handful of workers checking for cracks. Then they were loaded onto a truck that ran 2 hours late, forcing them to sit in a warm warehouse. Then they arrived at a store where they sat for 2 days before being rotated. Each of those steps seems minor, but together they create the kind of environment bacteria thrive in, and bacteria love eggs. Salmonella, in particular, is notorious for hiding in shells that look perfectly fine. A single contaminated egg might not taste bad, look bad, or smell bad, but it can make you seriously sick, especially children, older adults, and anyone with a weaker immune system. And here's the worst part. Once one egg in a carton is contaminated, it can leak or smear onto others. That means one bad egg can turn into 12 with barely any visible warning. You open the carton, make breakfast, and suddenly you are wondering why your stomach feels like it went 10 rounds in a boxing match. And while some people like to wash their eggs, that can actually make things worse. Washing can remove the natural coating that protects the shell, allowing bacteria to seep in through tiny pores. That is why the eggs you buy are already washed and sanitized. At least they are supposed to be. But with minimal oversight, high employee turnover, and razor-thin profit margins, it is easy for a few skip steps to slip through unnoticed until someone gets sick. All of this might leave you wondering, so where should you buy your eggs? The answer depends on your options, but there are a few simple signs that can help you spot a store that treats eggs like they matter. First, check the temperature. If the egg case feels warm to the touch, or if there is condensation inside the cooler, that is a red flag. It is changing how we think about food safety in general. Eggs are fragile, yes, but so is the trust we place in the stores that sell them. And once that trust cracks, it is hard to put it back together. A bad breakfast is annoying. A foodborne illness is something else entirely. If there's one takeaway from all this, it is that buying eggs is not the simple task it used to be. With 5 major chains showing repeated issues, from hidden recalls to broken packaging to unsafe temperatures, it is time to start treating eggs like the high-risk item they really are. They are not just breakfast, they are biology. And if we do not respect the science, we pay the price. So, the next time you grab a carton from Walmart, Whole Foods, Aldi, Safeway, or Dollar General, pause, look twice, feel the cooler, check the shell, ask yourself, does this look like something that has been treated with care, or something that was tossed around like a dodgeball in a middle school gym? Your gut literally might depend on the answer. And if you're wondering whether spending an extra $1 on better eggs is worth it, consider the cost of getting it wrong. A night of food poisoning, a kid missing school, a senior needing hospitalization. That carton of eggs is more than a dozen breakfast ideas. It is a risk multiplier if handled wrong. And in the wrong hands, even a harmless-looking egg can become a very expensive mistake. At the end of the day, good eggs come from good systems, systems with checks, accountability, temperature control, and trained people who care. Without that, it does not matter how pretty the label is or how cheap the price looks. Because once an egg goes bad, there is no going back. And that is the meaty truth about eggs. If this cracked open some new thoughts for you, don't forget to give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more hard-boiled truths about the food you trust. Your next breakfast could depend on it. Thanks for watching, and remember, the truth is not always on the